Hey everyone, before we dive right into the action, I wanted to let you know that I stream these things on Twitch, and if you wanna hang out with me while I'm live, you can follow the channel, will be the first link in the description.
So e4 against this, just gonna be going for the fianchetto and see what my opponent does. We're gonna be reacting accordingly. Now looks like we're getting more into like the principal lines where they're putting pawns in the center, so I think I'll do the same. Just gonna try to play like c6, d5 and get into the sort of Kurgenidze structure. I think we can name it that way. And expecting them to go with e5. And since we're no longer ready to pin the knight, we'll have to make a waiting move. And that could either be f6 or could be h5, idea to bring the knight. I think f6 actually works pretty good here, hitting the pawn immediately, and against f4 have ideas to like bring the knight around, something like this, getting to like pretty interesting positions. If they're taking, I think can take with a knight and get a pretty good version, and on knight f3, I think now this move is pretty good. Creating a threat of taking, and then pawn takes on e5. Just winning it basically. So I think we kind of have to take, and this is also pretty good controlling e5 square. I'm just thinking more to go for like the dynamic option, which would be knight takes and going for like short castle, which then could be followed up with like knight e7 e5 after bishop takes on f3. I think that's what I like more. Even though pawn takes is obviously fine, I think just gonna be going for more like dynamic play. Idea to do this, and knight e7, e5. Knight e2 is like a pretty good move, because not sure it's gonna be that easy to get in the e5 break, because after takes they'll be able to recapture with the knight, so gonna be, I guess, a bit trickier, but I think we should still be able to get into that. I think maybe just knight d7, queen c7, and then e5. I feel like there should be a way. So when this happens, we just trade knight e7, and I think this is the plan. Not sure my opponent can actually stop me. So expecting this. Okay, knight e5. That's like a way to stop it, but creating a weakness. And I think we can take. And there are like two ways of playing this. It's knight d7, f4, e6, or knight h5, trying to stop him from f4 and hitting e5 directly. I think against this, maybe like queen d4 can be pretty good. And my knight could be stuck. He has a threat of g4. Not really liking that move. Knight d4 also quite decent, to be fair. I think knight e4 hitting the pawn is also very doable. Actually feels like best move. Difference is that f4 now doesn't really work well because of knight g3. Having a threat of bishop takes and also like e6, queen h4 could be potentially very annoying for my opponent. So not easy like at all to defend, because bishop d4 now can potentially be met by c5 and bishop takes on e5. Same against queen d4. So not easy like at all to protect this pawn, which is like pretty funny. And yeah, like if they go for like bishop d3, if he could simply take and even the endgames with the extra pawn, but double the isolated pawn, I think we should be able to play it for a win, even though I would say objectively that might actually be closer to equal in the endgame. But yeah, on bishop d3 maybe we got like some alternatives, even though I'm not sure what precisely. Maybe just go for that endgame and play with the extra pawn, play a long game. So against f4, could do this immediately, or could do e6 followed by queen h4. I think I just like it even better. Feels like the queen landing to h4 would simply be more painful for my opponent than just going for the little knight jump to g3. So we see queen f3, and Thinking about queen h4, I think that would still like force him to move the king away. But we could also just go bishop takes on e5. And yeah, that's just like basically collecting the pawn because of the pin. And only thing that's kind of bothering me is g3 because I don't see like an immediate win. But maybe there's knight takes on c3 and that's like super juicy. Just winning the jackpot after they take. And okay, long castle. I wasn't expecting this. I think you just play like queen a5. The thing is, my bishop is actually completely safe on e5 because this is pinned and queen is attacking the pawn on a2. King b1, and now should be either bishop takes on c3 or knight takes on c3. Something like that. I assume bishop takes is easiest. Pawn takes and then knight takes on c3, at least winning the rook. But also this, just crashing, I have a feeling. I think unfortunately he can force an endgame, but yeah, I think it's like winning one. So let's try to actually calculate this a bit in advance. Like takes, queen e2, do go queen a1, king c2, queen b2, king d3, queen c3, that's checkmate. So yeah, just gonna do that, and you can't even sack the queen because take too many pieces in the process. So maybe best bet would be like bishop d4 and force queens off. But yeah, queen e2, I think we figured it out by now that it's force checkmate. So king d3 only move. We're gonna get queen c3 and we get a checkmate. So we managed to get this one in. Okay, opponent opening up with e4. Just gonna be going for the kingside fianchetto, and I guess we're gonna be seeing pawns in the center sooner or later. So there we have it. And against this one, you could play d6, knight f6 and keep it sort of Pirk slash King's Indian thematic, but actually like it better to go c6, d5 against these specific lines, just going for the so-called Gurgenidze setup. And if you're like wondering how to spell that, it starts with a G, like Andrew Tate, the real G. So I'm gonna be going with d5, playing the Gurgenidze, especially against bishop c4. It's even more effective since yeah, we gain a tempo against the bishop, and now we get to play like sort of a Caro-Kann Carlsbad structure where honestly the bishop on g7 is not like ideally placed because it's sort of restricted by c3 d4 structure, but it's also interesting because this knight sometimes has ideas to develop this way. So for starters, I think we just get the bishop out, threatening this, so he has to play c3. And then we kind of decide. See bishop g5? Not sure about this. Can we just take? There's a check, but either b5 or king f8. Both moves are kind of fine there. I could like really go greedy here, but not sure I want to go greedy. So like knight d4, knight b2, d2 will probably get played. I really don't want to steal the pawn and run away with it, so I'm just gonna go h6 and target the bishop, see what he wants to do. And, you know, expecting to either go to h4 and maybe we go g5 and then we take. It just feels a bit safer that we get rid of his bishop first, or could also keep it simple with knight f6. But like this should be the move, I mean. 3 central pawn. Hard to refuse this. Just felt like need to throw in h6. So after this, there's like a huge threat of knight takes, so he has to defend like he did. And now that there's no queen d4 threat, could actually just go knight f6. Could also take on b3 because he may want to give the check, but against the check, I think we're quite okay after b5, so not gonna rush with it. And in case of h3, gonna be taking everything most likely. Queen takes, yeah, check, just b5 as I said. Knight protects the pawn. Don't forget that knight moves backwards. This is maybe like biggest thing that beginners struggle with. So forced to go back, just getting castled. Leave h3. Could take on f3 twice, could also take on b3 if needed. Most likely going to take on f3 twice and probably play e6. So, okay, queen e1 trying to unpin, but this is just bad because it allows me to double up the pawns on the king side. So, he was definitely supposed to do either c3 in that position or h3 in order to like deal with the pin. But okay, like after queen e1, we just take twice, mess up the pawn structure. So we're having the extra pawn plus much safer king, and queen d7 I think it's a good move, introducing ideas to play queen h3 and attack the h4 bishop plus the f3 pawn. So king is pretty weak. Another idea could be to bring the knight around. Just notice how out of the game the b3 bishop really is, and this is also a position that you could generally get from like the hillbilly attack when against the Karo Khan they do this stupid bishop c4 line, and d5 they take and they play bishop b3. It's like same story. The bishop on b3 is just so out of the game. And okay, against queen e5, I don't really think we have an immediate discovery just yet, but I think we can do this. Unless he has in mind to do queen h3, queen g3, which I kind of doubt, but the endgames are fine. Not sure. Just gonna go queen h3. Keep it simple. Yeah, if he wants to go there, I think I can take. He can also keep queens with queen f5. I think we're gonna go to f5, just keeping because he's got weak king and trying to play like knight h5 ideas. Actually, I have a direct threat of going g5 and we win the bishop, which is somewhat unexpected, I would say. And yeah, bishop runs out of squares. We're ready to collect it on the next move, and yeah, taking this way. Could do e6, could do like knight h5, knight f4 with the extra pieces. Should be a pretty smooth sailing from now on, but need to watch out for rook e5, I guess. So for this reason, I think knight h5, knight f4 could be definitely a pretty nice way to improve the position while gaining a tempo. And okay, on queen g4 could just trade and go knight f4, protect d5. Okay, I mean he takes, but we have winning endgame, and yeah, just gonna do this. Knight f4. Could take e7 as well, but there's a pawn on b2 to collect at the very least, or play rook e8. Definitely the queen trade for a pawn is worth in these kind of situations where you're having the extra piece. The queen trade will generally just make it so much easier to convert, and we see rook b7. I think I'm not even gonna try to stick to that pawn. I'll just focus on activity by playing something like rook e2. Idea to double up, play rook e8 and just trying to go for the back ranker. Also, threat could be knight h3 and win the f2 pawn. Rook b5, just rook e8. Idea to go like rook e1, which would basically be just checkmate. So, not sure how opponent can defend that. Maybe with rook f1, but okay, when they take, we just get to play rook e1, and after the rook trade will be a checkmate. So, we yeah, get a checkmate on the board and manage to win the game.
Thanks a lot for making it this far into the video, and in case you're looking for more episodes from the same series, make sure to click one of the videos that will appear on the screen. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you around on the channel. Take care.